The Browns beginning OTAs today, and Baker Mayfield reportedly won't be there. That's a surprise. While the Browns' former #1 overall pick is still waiting for a landing spot, reports are that the Panthers and Seahawks do still have interest in Mayfield. All right, Shannon, you first before Skip dives in. What happens next in this saga?
Well, it's a waiting game now, Skip. I just don't see a situation where something happens immediately unless the Browns either release him or takes on 85% of his remaining salary, which is about $18.9 million. Let's just round it up, say $19 million. If the Browns are willing to pay 85% of that salary, I believe they can probably get a sixth-round draft pick for it. Or they're going to have to release him outright and take on the full brunt of that $18.9 million salary. I don't see any way around it. Skip, Baker doesn't want to be there. The Browns really don't want him to be there. Baker is never going to be foolish enough to say, okay, I'll just waive my salary, y'all just release me. That's not going to happen. He's never going to get that frustrated, nor should he be. And they shouldn't expect him to come. I don't want this to be getting a situation where they have mandatory mini camps and they say, well, Baker didn't show up, we're going to fine him. Don't do him like that. You don't want him. Let the man go. Either just release him or take on 85% of the salary and move him. This is getting out of hand. It's too much now. I get it. Excuse me. Baker, you don't feel you can win long term or you can go to places that Deshaun can take you. I get that. But now you're just being mean-spirited. Now you're just being nasty with the situation. Move on, Cleveland. Let this man go live his life elsewhere because you don't want him. And that's now, Skip. And for me, Baker's not a sympathetic figure. But they're almost turning him into one for the simple fact of how they're handling this situation. Here we are damn near in June. Everybody's at least at one camp, OTA, Skip, or a voluntary camp. Everybody's had at least one. Let this man go get a job. Let this man go get gainful employment from somewhere else. You don't want him. He doesn't want to be with you. Cleveland, you only got two choices. Skip, it's not like they got 7, 8 choices. They got two. Release him or take on 85% of the salary and move him. Those are the only two options that they have. I can see if they had other, well, we could do this or we could do that. No, you can't. You're not keeping Baker at $18 and at $19 million. After everything that you put that man through, after what he took out of that article and said in that paper, y'all done.
Thank you for everything you just said, because I think you're starting to see the light on Baker Mayfield. I keep tweeting #FreeBaker, cut Baker, cut him loose, let him go on, because right now, as I predicted from day one, we're in the midst of the biggest offseason game of chicken this NFL has ever seen. What we have is we've got Seahawks and we got Panthers, and we may have 2 or 3 other teams lying in the weeds out there just waiting for the Cleveland Clowns to be forced to be back so far into the corner that they finally say, okay, we give up, we flat out cut him, we'll pay his total salary. Those teams are trying to dig in and protect their salary caps, $19 million worth, and hope that the Clowns will pay the freight for their prosperity next year. I wouldn't be surprised if Baker is actually already conspiring with his team of choice to say, you got to stay the course, dig in, force them to cut you. Obviously, he's not going to show up for any OTAs, and obviously the Browns are completely dug in because not only do they have Deshaun, but they've already signed 2 other quarterbacks in Brissett and Joshua Dobbs. They're set. The quarterback room is set. Baker has no spot there. For a while, I thought, well, maybe the Clowns are thinking, gee, if Deshaun gets suspended for maybe 8 games, maybe we want to hang on to Baker and say, let's scratch each other's backs where you can continue to audition for another team for your next job and get us through the night without Deshaun and maybe keep us afloat until he comes back. Well, that ain't happening because it's just not realistic for that to happen, to have Baker Mayfield trying to quarterback the Browns, who have shamed him and humiliated him and dumped all over him.
let's just say for the sake of argument, under your theory, they keep Baker, and Deshaun is suspended for 8 games. And by the time Deshaun comes back, Baker has thrown 24 touchdowns with 5 picks. You take it, and you're undefeated. You take him out the start lineup?
Well,
Because Skip, there's always a chance that you run the risk. You run the risk of doing that. You put somebody, a la Tom Brady. You put him in the starting lineup, and then you never get him out.
Well, you chose the other guy. You paid him $230 guaranteed million. Yep, you got to go. You'd have to go to Deshaun.
So,
and I would have no problem with that.
If Skip, just go ahead and eat. Say, look, $19 million, we'll pay 16 and a half, 17 of it. Give us a 6th round draft pick, and we'll keep him. Skip, that's the only way. I mean, Cleveland, there's no other way. Once you pick up that 5th-year option, it becomes fully guaranteed. You're stuck. You're stuck with him. So that's the only way. The only way out. You pay it all, or you pay 90% of it, Skip. It's kind of like the tax, Skip. It's kind of like with Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam said, you can get, hey, look here. You can go to jail, or you can pay me 80, 90% of what you owe me. Those are the only 2 options you got, because we're not going to forgive it.
Nope.
And you either go into jail, or you're going to pay a percentage of it. Now, which do you want it to be?
That is correct.
Cleveland, you either going to pay a percentage of it, or you're going to pay all of it. Those are your only 2 choices.
And I still say Baker Mayfield will soon become the biggest bargain in the history of NFL offseasons.
He ain't no bargain.
And I still say he will be the steal of the NFL century. Because this is a guy, what did Joe Burrow say a couple of weeks back? All he did was ball against Cincinnati in the 2 games that Joe Burrow has seen him. All he did in the first game that he won 35-30 at home, this is in his great run 2 years ago, all he did was have a QBR of 98 in that game. Then he went to Cincinnati, drove them 75 yards to the game-winning touchdown, and wound up with a QBR of 97 on the way. That sent them on their way to winning 8 of the next 11 games, including Cleveland's first playoff game in 26 years at arch-rival Pittsburgh, in which he had a QBR of 91. I just gave you the blueprint for success in Seattle, or in Carolina, or wherever else he might land.
No, what you gave me was 3 games. That's what you gave me. And what you did, you conveniently picked out the 3 best games of Baker's career and tried to say this is who he is. When all the other teams have game tape of 62 games saying this is who he is, and this is why we're unwilling to budge on what we're willing to offer for Baker Mayfield. No, that's what you did. You took 3 games, his 3 best games of his entire life. Well, if you take anybody's 3 best moments of their life, hell, everybody's a saint. Everybody's a pope. If you take the 3 best moments of their life.
Well, how did he go on a run once Odell went down and out, unfortunately for Odell? How did he go on a run where they won 8 of the next 11 games, and he went 20 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions? It's on tape. The bulk of his tape is great tape. The bad tape came this past year when he was hurt in Game 2 and needed shoulder surgery.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. If that's the case, why do they want to move on? If what you said is true, and let's just take for the sake of argument it is, if that's the case, if he is those last 11 games, why are they so willing? Why were they willing to guarantee a man a contract given the circumstances that he finds himself in? If Baker Mayfield is what you said he was after those 11 games, if they believe those 11 games, that's more indicative of Baker Mayfield's play than not, why would they guarantee a man $230 million?
Because, as they said, we're perfectly content to go forward with Baker, and that was after Deshaun had turned them down the first go-round, and then Deshaun realized, wait a second, Atlanta's getting cold feet, New Orleans getting cold feet. We better go back to the clown show and see if they'll bite. And they swallowed it hook, line, and sinker, $230 guaranteed million. And I told you, would I take Deshaun over Baker? You better believe I would any day or night. But I'll still take Baker as a franchise quarterback going forward, as a top 15 quarterback in the league, because those don't grow on trees either.
Skip, if I'm in a relationship, I'm dating this young lady, and I'm dating her. but I see somebody that I think is better and can do more and offer me more, I go ask her, would you marry me? She tells me no. Well, I'm perfectly content with what I got. But I wasn't. That's why I asked her to marry me. Once Deshaun turned them down, they was like, I'm perfectly content with the girl I got. And then, guess what? She said, you know what? I've had second thoughts. You really the man of my dreams. Come on over here. And that's what the Cleveland Browns did. They got the man of their dreams, which happens to be Deshaun Watson, not Baker Mayfield.
Well, I gave you that, but still, Baker Mayfield, with all he's accomplished, with the 7 games he won as a rookie starter for a team that went 0-16, and you're trying to put out that Odell-driven propaganda that he's a poor leader. That's his strength. He's a great locker room leader. Just clear the decks, get the Odell situation out of his hair, and watch him start over fresh elsewhere
Been going
and
over
win.
a year. Oh, no. See, there you go. You keep talking about that Odell propaganda.
Yeah.
You keep spitting that Odell propaganda.
No.
Odell been gone for a year.
Yeah.
You were talking about no, don't do that, Skip.
Leadership
Baker
is
all
Baker's
Baker.
strength.
That's not what Cleveland said.
Well,
Cleveland said they wanted an adult.
Okay.
That's what the Browns said. Now, if it's a lie, they told it.
Well,
They said they wanted an adult in the building.
Fortunately, the progressive commercials are about to end because